Alright, Shalom. First, let's start by sending our praise to Yahweh, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well. And salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. The title of this video is Mass Shooting, 2 Dead, 7 Injured in Downtown Chicago. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip and then add some precepts.
Mass shooting, 2 shot, rather 9 shot, 2 dead, 1 incident. It's 9 shot, 2 dead, 1 incident. Mass shooting. Good afternoon. I'm Brad Edwards. Thank you for streaming with us at CBS News Chicago. It is a city of big shoulders, but big shoulders can only bear so much. We often sanitize news to make reality more palatable, but not here and not today. Our Marissa Parra, thoughtfully covering the story, tweeted this photo today: a sidewalk outside of McDonald's right by Holy Name Cathedral, a sidewalk crimsoned with human blood, a city that has too many bloody sidewalks. That was the scene last night. That led to a mass shooting. Here's the latest. 2 people killed, 7 injured. It happened last night around 10:30 p.m. Of course, we're saying 7 injured now versus 9 off the top. Those numbers have fluctuated. There may have been a tangential injury to someone else who may not have been shot. Again, still fluid at this hour. Still a crime scene out there. Ambulances and police swarm the intersection of Chicago and State, right outside that McDonald's. And as many know, a busy Red Line station. All apparently started because of a disagreement between people in a large group gathered there, per police. Chicago's top cop, Superintendent David Brown, runs down what went down.
We see on video where a person with a gun fires into the crowd. Basically, this is a disturbance, a personal conflict, hitting the 9 people, killing 2, wounding 7. As soon as this gunman fires, he then flees, and our officers give chase. Flees down into the CTA platform with our officers close behind this group. Then with the shooter, the group follows this shooter. So the group that the shooter is with, that's been arguing with the other group, they all flee down this platform with this shooter who's still armed with the gun. Officers give chase, and they capture the shooter, and they recover the gun.
That is the superintendent. That was not long ago. As he just said, police do have the suspect, the shooter, they believe. They do have him in custody. The CBS 2 investigators have learned he is 21 years old. He has a criminal background. We are choosing not to identify him at this time, at least not until he is officially named or officially charged. There's also a second person also in custody, we have learned, accused of trying to stop officers at the scene from purportedly catching said shooter. And the shooter, 21-year-old man. 1 man, 1 gun, 9 shot, 2 dead. Police are also still looking for a third person of interest, they are saying, who they say handed the shooter the gun. One victim, Sean Davis, here, showed us his injuries from the shooting. He says he was shot in the abdomen, had a graze wound to his ankle. And again, here's the scene from last night. Police sources tell us of the 2 people who were killed. One of them was a 31-year-old man. The other, we don't have any identifiers on yet. And the other 7 victims were rushed to the hospital. They range in age from 17 to 46. Most are in good condition. One of them, though, a 19-year-old man, is in critical, I'm told, grave condition. Davis, whom we talked to, showed us his wounds, says the 2 victims who were killed were his friends.
2 of my friends are dead. It was a lot of chaos. I'm glad I didn't get hit too many times. Pray for our city, you know. Hopefully things will get better, you know. And people need to leave the guns alone.
We've heard that refrain before. Young man with an abdomen wound, lost 2 friends in last night's mass shooting, and asking for people to pray for the city. I want to bring in Marissa Parr now. Marissa, thank you for your reporting on this. You have been on this story all morning. Sadly, we cover a lot of these, a lot of crime, but what struck you, I want to know. We've got the details. What struck you about the scene out there?
So, Brad, I've been here with CBS Chicago for 2.5 years now, and it brings me no pleasure to say I've seen a lot of crime scenes, but before I explain why this morning was so disturbing, I want to warn you that the video you're about to see is uncomfortable and a little graphic. You're going to see for yourself, when we got here, there was blood all over the sidewalk, and not just, in little pockets. I mean, there was quite literally pools of it all across the sidewalk. And not just blood, but also what looked like equipment that you would use to save someone's life, which that victim that you just heard from told us was used to try to save the life of someone, one of his friends, who later died. I want to show you what it looks like now. Now it looks quite different. They have hosed it down. It looks remarkably different. I was told this was cleaned up a couple of hours after I tweeted that. So now you can see this no longer looks the same. But here's the disturbing part. I mean, ultimately, after 2.5 years of reporting in Chicago, which is a blip when you think about, the span of Chicago reporters here, but it's just enough to know that I've seen multiple scenes. And for the most part, every now and then you'll see the occasional speck of blood, and it's never a pretty sight, right? But especially when there's a mass shooting, especially when there's a child that's shot, when there's a big event, we've always seen it hosed down. In fact, we're very rarely even allowed to get close enough to see it. With our own naked eye, we're usually blocked off at least a block away. And this was something completely and totally different. It's not like we arrived first on the scene right after it happened. I mean, this had happened just before 11 o'clock last night. We were not getting here until 4 in the morning. This was well after crime scene tape had already been removed. So what Superintendent Brown was saying this morning was that it was still considered evidence. That's simply not true. And we did push back on that. We did say, well, no, the crime scene was already, this was done. People were walking. I think one of the most disturbing things, Brad, I mean, ourselves remove, the photographers and the reporters who are like realizing as we're walking what we're walking into and onto. Never mind that. You have people that are just starting to wake up at 7 a.m. that I was watching. What you can't see is on the other side of this camera is the CTA red line for the Chicago station. This is where people come out. And we were watching people. You can see, oh, you're good. You've got people walking behind me right now. You have morning commuters. You had hordes of people walking through here and having no idea what they were walking on top of. At least half of them were just walking, having no idea that their shoes now had blood on them from quite literally a crime scene just hours before. And I think something that's almost as disturbing is a couple of times I would see someone notice. I saw one person kick one of the life-saving apparatuses out of his way as he was carrying his briefcase on his way to work, I assume. But, some people did notice that they were stepping on blood and they just kept walking. And for me, I think as an observer, as a reporter, that's disheartening in so many ways. I mean, one, why was it left there, right? Why wasn't that hosed down sooner? We had questions on that, and we did ask about that. And then, the victim, when we spoke to him, I don't even think he registered because he was in such a state of shock. But I asked him, I'm like, what are your thoughts? And I could tell he started shaking a little bit. And he said, that's from me right there, that one right there. And he pointed down at it, and I could tell he was like, "What? Why is that still there?" And then furthermore, the people who did notice, it's disturbing that we're at this point.
If my microphone's in, yeah, now it's in. It is disturbing on so many levels, and almost like an apathy through an inundation of stories like this. I mean, there should be crosses there. Yet people are trolloping through it with their Starbucks on their way to work. That's a scene in Chicago, and it's the reality, and I'm glad we're showing it. I'm glad you showed it. What about the people near Dayton, Chicago right now? Have you seen any politicians? Is it mainly a throng of media, or
Yes.
it kind of looks like business as usual right now, besides the McDonald's being closed?
A little bit of both. Obviously the camera's out here, and when there was a little bit of crime scene tape, you can see behind me, or caution tape rather, where there was crime scene tape earlier. It draws some eyes, but I would say it's for the most part business as usual. We've seen a few candidates running for various offices. It's a big political year, who have sort of stopped by and are talking with the people around here, talking with the officers that are here. But the thing that I think, just to kind of harken back to that point we were originally making, is the fact that I'm seeing so much business as usual. The fact that we had people stepping over the blood when there was blood and people were noticing and just continuing on their way to work. Again, it's a little uncomfortable to think about the possibility that this is just where we are as a city, and people probably do know a lot more than we realize what exactly happened, but they're on their way to work. That's the survival mentality there.
And then we see them bandaging up the wounds with plywood, because of course priority would be to open up the McDonald's as quickly as possible again. City leaders flanked Police Superintendent David Brown about 90 minutes ago. What was your sense when you listened to the message, not the nuts and bolts, but the overarching message?
So we heard from Superintendent Brown from Chicago Police Department. We also heard from the Business Affairs Consumer Protection. We also heard from the president of the CTA. And it was interesting because honestly, Brad, the sense that I get is that agencies are feeling overwhelmed, but no one wants to admit it, right? I mean, case in point, I think the prime example is CTA overnight. When we reached out to them, we said, hey, we see crime scene tape on the platform. We see police roping off the CTA tracks. We see the alerts to redirect. If you look on the CTA Twitter, you'll see that they had alerts saying, please reroute, letting them know there's police activity happening at stations. But when we reached out at 5 a.m, again, this is almost 6 hours after this incident happened, this mass shooting, when we reached out, they said there was, and this is a direct quote, they said there was a disturbance outside of the CTA station. Nothing happened inside. And that's just simply not true. So when I asked the president about that, I pushed back. He did admit, he was like, well, in so many words, he admitted that maybe it was hard to keep up with everything as it was happening, which is understandable because there was a lot happening, and it was, I understand that CPD is going to be taking the charge on that, but it's also a legitimate concern from riders and passengers who were tweeting about it, like, why are we finding out so many hours later that this was what was happening? You talked about the nuts and bolts and how the red line was involved, so there was some frustration there. And then, I guess that the vibe in that room, it was a little bit of hostility. I think all three of those folks in there who I mentioned, all three of those leaders didn't like being pushed back on very much. A little bit of defensiveness, and I think it really just comes down to the fact that we keep hearing about these incidents, whether it's here on the streets of Chicago, whether it's on the CTA line, and everybody's pointing fingers at each other, but ultimately it just keeps happening. And nobody wants to accept their own responsibility, but everybody's pointing fingers at everyone else.
Yeah, good and perceptive and thoughtful takeaway. Truly a circling of the wagons from multiple city departments. And you just had a waiver behind you. A waiver bombing your live shot. Someone may want to remind people 9 people were shot and 2 died at that very scene. Marissa Parra, you've done excellent work, and we appreciate it as usual, and we will see you again as the day goes on. In giving his update, the latest one in the mass shooting.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. This is just the normal, and it's only gonna get worse. But it's not only gonna be just Jake killing each other. These Edomite devils, whatever nationality they might be on this. Eventually, they're gonna get it too. This is just, it's gonna come a time where it's gonna be a lot of death going on everywhere. And they ain't gonna be able to do like little news shots and stuff like this, man. But this is and you know that's how you know Jacob got the curses on him from Deuteronomy, because Esau can go around and do a mass shooting and kill all black people. You know, whether it was real or fake, or psyop. You know, Esau with his mind control and everything. I ain't get to look into that one. Yeah, I just heard about it. But Jake and them killing each other in many of these mass shootings. So it's just the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. Eventually, Jake and them, they gonna rise up and go after Esau too. You know, when all hell break loose, it's gonna be everybody against everybody. But I'm gonna start with this precept. This is, let me see. Okay, Salakia. Baruch chapter 4, verse 28, it says, "For as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High, Yahweh Shema Shai, so being returned, seek him 10 times more." And that's the spirit Jacob's supposed to be in right now, seeking the Lord 10 times more, because we did go off, we did sin. You know, we're in this predicament because we have sinned against Yahweh Shema Shai, man. So as the Lord waking brothers up, you new brothers, you know, and us brothers that's continuing in the faith, we got to continuously seek the Lord 10 times more, because we're not perfect, you know, especially with everything that's going on now. We're supposed to be lifting the Lord up as high as we can get him, man, through his spirit, man. But you know, that ain't gonna be the case for everybody. You know, 2/3 of this world got to be killed off, you know. And it's finna say it right here. It says, "For he that hath brought these plagues upon you," right? These are plagues that the Lord is bringing upon us, man. You know, and this death that's going on is a plague from Yahweh Shema Shai, man. It said, "Shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation," you know. And it's going to be salvation for the elect, the chosen of Israel that do come back and seek the Lord 10 times more up into the deliverance, man. Because the scriptures say, "He that shall endure to the end shall be saved." So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 5. It says, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." So, you know, the sword is a killing instrument. Ultimately, the ultimate sword is nuclear missile, though. Famine, as you can see, they got they started off with flooding a lot of these farms throughout Mississippi. And this when I first came in. The truth, this was in 2010. They was flooding the farms. What else was going on? But yeah, all I can remember is that they was flooding them farms and whatnot. Now a lot of these farms, you know, they're being bought up by the government, or was it Bill Gates, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of these farms have been burned. A lot of money that goes into helping the farmers is not being sent to the farmers. You know, so it's all type of stuff going on to where they trying to bring in this famine. You know, the whole war with Ukraine, that's stopping some of this food supply. So all this is man-made, you know, but it's bringing in the famine, because the famine is Bible prophecy, man. It says death, and as you can see, Jake getting gunned down all the time in Chicago, you know, as well as other places, man. That's why scriptures say the world, this not only happening in Chicago, this happening around the world, and destruction. So you can be looking forward to the destruction of this place, man. "For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Right, man? So it's time for the judgment. Second Ezra 16:22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Right, man? So if you escape the hunger when the time of famine comes, the sword, which is a killing instrument, gonna destroy you anyway, man. You know, and that goes for them. It's not, it ain't sweet, so to speak, for you news reporters. Verse 23, America's going to turn into a war zone soon. Verse 23, it says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. And you see, the blood's supposed to be up and all this extra stupid ass shit, man. It's finna get worse, man. 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 23, it says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. So it ain't going to be nobody to pick up the blood, nor the bodies in the near future, man. And there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be waste and the city shall be cast down. So we got a lot more to look forward to, man. This Sirach chapter 39 verse 28, it says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Right, man? So the Lord put the spirit on that man to kill them people. And it was the spirit of the Lord, the angel that took him out, man. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Right, man? So, it ain't sweet for nobody. You have to be able to elect to make it out of this place, America, as well as other places around the world when that destruction come, man. Or just to make it to see the Lord, and get like a pass, so to speak, because every place not gonna get destroyed and everybody not gonna be killed, but the kingdom is gonna be ushered in. So that's part of the ushering in the kingdom, mass death, plagues, So, yeah, man. So, Jake and them, they got the spirit of Cain on them, man. They don't care nothing about their brothers, but it's all the curses. So, with that being said, call law, Yabashima Shai, double honors to the elders and apostles that we will, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.